Welcome back to Dork Points, everybody. This is Ron, and tonight we are talking about all the PS Extra games I have played recently, starting with the Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me. Now, I mentioned this in the last video, but I hadn't quite completed it yet. I got to the ending, and I didn't love it, so spoilers for the next 5 seconds. The killer isn't quite revealed. They talk about it in the lore, and I had to look it up to figure out who it was, but yeah, it's kind of a really disappointing ending, unfortunately. Like, you're just sitting there going, wait, what? Like, there's no unmasking, there's no revelations, they just, I mean, I hate to say it, they kind of survive the night, and then that's it, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We had all this story and build-up, and then that. Blech. All right, Arcade Paradise is the next game. I want to say I love it. It's a great game, but I understand that a lot of people are probably going to hate it because it's an arcade simulator, but it starts as a laundromat simulator, which I don't know why they made this choice. And for a majority of the game, it is mostly a laundromat simulator because that's how you're making like most of your money. So you collect all this money from the laundromat, and then you start purchasing video games for the back room, and then you expand the back room until the whole thing is basically an arcade. The games themselves, there's a couple really good ones in there, but for the most part, they're pretty cheap and disappointing. And then all like the table games like pool, foosball, table hockey, they're all garbage. They're almost unplayable. There is a story that is quite interesting, but I would almost just rather take just a straight simulation that kind of just scores you and keeps going than like a story and feeling like I completed it, because I kind of didn't want it to end. So it is good. All right, moving on to Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I had 3 games on Extra that I all wanted to play at the same time, and it was Hogwarts Legacy, Jedi Survivor, and God of War Ragnarok. So I started with Hogwarts Legacy because I am a fan. I like the movies, but I saw Hogwarts. It's beautiful. I walked around it, but there's a lot of game here, and I started playing a lot of side missions, and I wasn't really interested in the main story. I don't know how much of it I honestly played because I was doing so many side missions. Also, I dislike the flying on the broom and also this lock-picking segment. This took so long to figure out. And the game has these weird moments like Yakuza 0 where just characters act strange around you. And yeah, you could almost just make a video of all the weird things like the characters in the background are doing like this. So overall, I enjoyed my time with it, but I did put it down after a while and just moved on to Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And yeah, this was the one I should have started with because I ate this thing up in about 5 or 6 days. I beat the whole game. I loved it. It is not easy. However, I did not play it on normal. I played it on the one just below normal, which is just above story mode. Now, I recommend that for most casual gamers, unless you are a Souls-like fan. This isn't a Souls-like, it's more like a Souls-light. There's a lot of parkour. It feels like Horizon or Uncharted sometimes, like you're doing so much of that. But yeah, it's a great game. The combat is fun and wonderful. It just looks beautiful and gorgeous, and it's wonderful to be in this world, and you don't want to leave. But again, there is tedium, just like with Horizon Forbidden West. Coming back to all this climbing and jumping, I don't know. I guess a little less of it. There are segments in this game that are so long that are just climbing and running and jumping. But they are fun. They do kick your adrenaline up. And they are much better than these segments. And this is sort of the biggest problem I thought with the game was these puzzle segments where you have to grab a ball with the force and you have to move it down a thing and then you have to grab it quick again before it falls and then bring it back to you and then put it on the thing and then that starts a laser and then you have to use this other thing to light the rocks up and then it opens a door. It's just, story also, I was a little disappointed with the ending, but great game overall. All right, Like a Dragon Ishin. Should I even attempt to say that? Ishin? Ishin? Yeah, it's beautiful. It's Yakuza in feudal Japan. You've got all the little Yakuza bits here, mini games, interesting characters, a dancing cult, of course, mild bugs here and there. It is a big game. Overall, I like it, but when you join this big this group or syndicate or whatever they are, they send you on these missions, these kind of like roguelike missions, where they send you into a dungeon that reminds me of Dark Cloud. Also, look at that anime girl on the right. She's a character in my group. What? But yeah, the dungeons for these missions seem very randomly generated and are very empty. And yeah, so I really liked it, but I kind of put it down after that. All right, and now Demon Souls, and this is the real thing. This is not a Souls like, this is the original Souls. And I was very excited to play it and see it, and it's beautiful on PS5, and I'm so glad they remade it. But of course, after about 4 days of playing it, I just got so fed up with it. And I think the biggest problem is I had a really good run on the first night, and you're watching the end of it right here, where I walk into this room and I'm like, oh, it's boss fight time. That's awesome. And then boom, one hit, dead, start the whole game over. I was just like walking around trying to find him again, and I was like, which direction did I take? Where did I go? And I was just getting more and more frustrated. And there are ways to cheese this game and cheese that boss and beat him, very easily, like drop down on top of him or something like that, I've heard. But I'm not going to look up a walkthrough. I enjoy it for what it is. But this is about as much as I'm going to play it, unfortunately. All right, moving on to the Stalker trilogy. That's right. Now, I've only played the first one, Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, but the whole trilogy is free on PS Extra. So thank you guys for doing that. The game overall is basically a Fallout with a little more stiff, old school gaming elements. Also, you're going to see me die here over and over. The rules about radiation and what you need to do and how you need to get around, they don't teach you that. They barely give you a tutorial. And you're just sent out in the woods, and like by the time you get to the second open area, you're like, the whole world isn't open. There are loading screens. But when you get to the second open area, they're just throwing like radioactive dogs and animals and these spheres at you that can just destroy you in a second. So it's really tough. And there is an easier setting, but I'm playing that, and it's still hard as nails. I would say this game is really hard, but I am playing through it, and I'm kind of liking it, honestly. I like that old school feel. This is kind of a remaster or refurbished, but that old school shooter feel is still there and really good. All right, Sayonara Wild Hearts. This is one that I just kind of started playing at random, and God, I was shocked. I played it straight through all night, and I loved every minute of it. It is fairly, I guess it is difficult, but they have these odd difficulty settings where if you're just losing at the same spot, here it is right here, you get a chance to just skip that segment. But I avoided that, and I was able to beat the whole thing in one night. And like I always say, if I can beat it, you can beat it if you put your mind to it. But yeah, man, the music alone is worth the trip. But then you have all these like just really high octane, crazy moments. And then this stuff though was kind of pushing it for me. This is when it got to that level of like, oh my God, this is like old school PS2 hard. All these little segments where you have to be like just timing right on that, just perfect timing all the time. And it's a little infuriating at moments. But overall, I say Sayonara Wild Hearts is a must play. Yeah, it's just good. All right, moving on to Blueprints also. And yeah, I didn't say Jedi Survivor was a must play, but these two, Sayonara Wild Hearts and Blueprints, are must plays for everybody and anybody. So you've been bequeathed this house, and when you walk up to the first room, you have to decide what room you're going to make. And then all the rooms need to connect, and you need to have power and all these different things in order to get to the final antechamber where you open it up and get your inheritance. And yeah, it seems like it should be simple. And I'm sure you could just look up a walkthrough and like do it in one run if you really wanted to just sit there and watch like an hour long run through. But I am just playing it like 1 or 2 times a night, and I am helplessly addicted to it. And it's tough, but I made it to the antechamber eventually here, as you're about to see. I look on the map, I'm at the end. But yeah, there's the door and there's no power to it. So yeah, it's more strategy. It is a puzzle game, but it's more of a strategy game because you got to think about everything you're gonna need to keep going and keep opening these doors and open up the whole house and get everything working. I can't stop playing it, and I refuse to do a walkthrough. So it is painful a little bit, but I'm loving it, every minute of it. All right, final game of the night. It's God of War Ragnarok. And yeah, this is the third game out of Hogwarts and Survivor that I was playing. And I started with Hogwarts, gave up, played all through Survivor and beat it. And now I am about, I'd say, 3 to 4 hours into Ragnarok. I'm basically way beyond the point you're seeing on the video here. And I'm starting to really like it. I really do like it. But I would say the first, God, 2 hours of the game just were almost boring and felt like I was just playing DLC or an extended version of the first game. I don't like the fact that Baldur's mom is mad at you for killing him when he was going to kill her. That part, even in the first game, that part always bothered me. But yeah, the game looks great. Like, look at this. It's beautiful. And the fighting is wonderful. And yeah, as I'm going more into the game, it's less samey, and it just has all the detail and all these little things. It's just eye candy. But I can't tell you how the story is going to turn out, and because again, I'm only like 3 or 4 hours in. So we will see about that, because it all kind of hangs on that story. Because so far, to me at least, Thor and Odin aren't really interesting. They kind of just come off as like old drunken jerks, or like people who've been famous for too long, or maybe they've been alive for too long. I don't know. They're just, I don't know. It's just not quite interesting. I feel like you need something else in there. We'll see, because I'm getting to Tyr, and he seems like an interesting character. But I will keep you informed. But there you go. God of War Ragnarok, my final game of the night. Thank you guys for watching. That's all the games I've played recently on PS Extra. Thank you for watching. Dark Points, goodbye.